This, my friends of Just Kidding News fanery, is a story of revenge in 3 acts. So when I was in high school, I had a best friend. Not a joke, his name was also Steve. Perhaps that was how we got on initially in our first meeting with each other. Hey, your name's Steve? That's my name, dude. Cool. We were friends ever since. Not really a joke. Well then, we would go camping together in his backyard or my backyard. We would hang quite a bit. I would say that this was my first encounter with a quote-unquote best friend when you're of the age where you share things with each other that you would not want to tell your parents about. Like, I have hair on my balls and stuff like that. So now, fast forward a little bit. We're in high school. There's a girl that I have been into ever since I met Steve. And he knows that, and I know that. Well, once we're in high school, things start to pick up with this girl a little bit, and me. Things get good. They get real good. But just before, well, we really could make it official, aka do anything in her car, because I didn't have a car. I still don't. She started to get a little bit weird with me. It was kind of odd. She didn't want to hang out as much. She starts hanging out a little bit with Steve. I didn't really understand what was going on. So one day, we all used to hang together at lunch, me, Steve, and this girl. One day, Steve decides to have a conversation with me because Kristen tells me, hey, I need to talk to Steve. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'll talk to you at lunch, Kristen, no problem. Well, Kristen, during lunch, stays put, and I'm like, hey, Steve, I think me and Kristen need to have a conversation right now. And Steve's like, no, I think you and me need to have a conversation.
That's what Steve said?
No. So he broke the news to me that him and Kristen have been seeing each other now for a little while. Couple days. Just wanted to let you know on the up and up.
Oh.
So I swallowed the ball of anger that immediately rose in my body. And I said, that's fine, dude. And he's like, really? We're good? And I was like, we're good. Yes. Steve couldn't believe his luck. He got to be with Kristen. He got his best bud still. He basically picked up a basketball, threw it behind him, and it went in.
Swish.
Except, it didn't.
My favorite apps.
So began what I call the systematic destruction of my friend Steve. Because from that point forward, we were no longer friends. He just didn't know that yet. So I started to just be chill. I couldn't have been a more chill best friend. It was like I was hired for the part. I would see them all at school. I'd hang out with them at lunch. I was all smiles. I would go get donuts. I was like, who wants donuts? And it's like, oh, Steve's a cool donut guy. That's awesome. Well, one day, Kristen brought her friend around. And I was like, oh, her friend's kind of cool. Maybe I'll start a relationship with her. And that's exactly what I did. I was also the lead in the school play, again. But this time, I was the lead in the school play that Steve was the side character in. So he's like my best friend in it, right? So Kristen has to come to all the rehearsals. She has to see me on the stage with those bright lights. She's watching me kill it. But most importantly, she's watching me kill it while looking at Allison and being like, oh man, you're cool. Time goes by. We're doing the play. The reviews are in. It's a hot show. High school's never seen a show this good before. People don't know what to do. There's newspaper overlays during this conversation that we're having right now. Everyone's giving it top score. So Kristen sitting in the front row at every single show, and I'm the last one to come out. She's always. That takes a toll on a woman. Just before the end of the first run of our shows, we were doing it for 2 weeks. I'll never forget. Kristen calls me, and she's like, "Hey, I've been thinking about like you and me." And I'm like, And she's like, "Oh yeah, I've been thinking about like what we maybe had together." And I'm like, "Oh well, that's interesting. I mean, do you want to come over and talk about it?" So this is when I started to just hang out with her a little bit. We were all just friends. Why can't I hang with her? So then Steve's like, "Whoa, well, wait, I'm not really like. Why aren't you guys hanging with me?" And I'm like, "Oh no, it's just me hanging with Kristen. Like we're totally chill. Like you want a donut?" So eventually Kristen and I are hanging quite a bit, but we're also hanging while Steve's there. And when Steve would go to the bathroom, Kristen would sometimes jump in my lap and start making out with me.
Oh, shit.
Things are getting good. Everything's coming up Steve Greene again. Life's good. I'm feeling great. I'm leaving my house. I'm going to school. I got this chick who really digs me. Oh yeah, I forgot about Allison, but that's because I was already kind of like oopsie daisies with that anyways. Basically, I had to dump Allison, do the right thing, even though I got with her for horrible reasons. But do the right thing at the end. So I dump her. And then there was like a sus period where maybe me and her were making out some, and then also I was making out with Kristen some. but like I was trying to do the right thing. So Steve used to be part of my family. My parents were like second parents to him. My brothers were like brothers to him. Well, once Steve kind of caught wind that Kristen no longer wanted to be with him, and she wanted to be with me, Steve started to realize that people in my home weren't going to be as available to him as maybe he thought before. He betrayed me. So I'll never forget, Steve calls my house, and he's like, "Hey, is your brother there?" And I'm like, "Yes, he is. Who would like to speak with him?" And he's like, "Steve." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, you're not gonna get to speak with him." He's like, "Why not?" I'm like, "Cause he's my brother, and so were you, until you did what you did, you son of a bitch." And I said, "How does it feel now that the shoe is on the other foot?" Never, ever, ever call my house again. And I hung up the phone, and that was it. And then he started hanging out at high schools after we all graduated for like way too long, and like it was kind of weird.
Wow. Amazing.
Thank you.
What a crazy ass story, dude.
So much more, but I wanted to play it to the music a little bit, but yeah.
Wait, what?
He's a donut guy.
That was amazing. What other stuff happened that you left out?
Well, actually, so he had told me, it sucks, I blew the landing on the shoes on the other foot thing, because he told me how would you feel if the shoe was on the other foot about, like, so when he first he's like, Kristen likes me, man. And how would you feel if the shoe was on the other foot? Right. So when he pulled me aside,
I see.
he said, you know, Kristen likes me. How would you feel if the shoe was on the other foot? And I was like, yeah, okay, I get it, dude. Like logging it away, of course. Fuck you, bro. But
Logging it away.
Sure. But then, like, I got to use that at the end of our friendship. I got to use that same line because that's how.
Oh, dang, that would have been hard, dude. But you know what? Hey,
Nailed it.
still 8.6 out of 10 for sure.
Thank you.
That's nice.
A true tale. Saddest thing is, honestly, Allison was so cool, and like she was just an innocent bystander, really. And I did like her and stuff. It's just that like my revenge play, I think, just grew and grew and grew in my body and took over everything else.
Dude, it sounded like it.
The funny thing of you going, you want to talk to my brother? You were once my brother. You can't talk to him because he's my brother, and so were you.
Dude, that was real because he was honestly like family to all of us. And like when me and him were no longer friends anymore, it was like hard for my parents and everybody.
Ooh,
Really?
Yeah.
Integrated into like the daily thing. Huh?
Yeah, and his dad warned us. His dad was this awesome dude. He was like, hey, don't ever let a girl get between you guys or whatever. He told us this like we're in middle school. We're like, whatever, Dad, it's never gonna happen.
gross.
Yeah, he's my best friend. Yeah, dude, no, actually. I mean, you know, like that was the I didn't ever say like, hey, I called that chick. This was the one girl that he knew about for like fucking years that I was so into. It's like that's what made it like so visceral for me, and I was like, oh, this will not, like we are not friends already.
Too tempted, huh?
Oh, and they tested me once. This is another thing I left out of the story too, because whatever. But they tested me once. They actually fake broke up
They tested
to
you?
see how I would react to it.
Wow.
What fucking weirdos.
I was an even cooler donut guy that day.
Dude, the revenge play is even sicker now.
It's so fun.
Fuck that.
I waited on extra thick that day because something was fucking weird about it. Like Steve's, like I was like they were both being quiet, and I was like, what the fuck's going on? And I was like, then I was like, hey, dude, are you guys okay? Is everything okay? He's like, oh yeah, me and Kristen broke up, and I was like, dude, I am so sorry, man. That's fucking crazy. Like, would you like glazed? You want powdered? You want jelly? But like, I was like just being extra cool, and then he told me like the next day that they couldn't believe how awesome a friend I was and shit.
What the?
Oh my god.
And I was like, bless your fucking heart.
I gotta say my favorite part of the story is when you're like, yeah, there might have been like a little sus moment where I was making out with Allison and with Kristen, but I was trying to do the right.
She just got wrapped up in my play. That's
A
all.
little bit.
That's great, dude.
Thanks, guys.
done.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Great story. Great story.
Fuck the news.
Yeah.
Fuck the news.
This is way better than news. How can we go back?